they were getting in to do it, and some of the sedimentation issues were a little greater and a little more exaggerated and extreme than they thought they were. So they had to pull back on the actual dredging and go in and work on managing those situations and figure out what to do about them. So that held us up a little bit. And so now this year they feel like they've gotten everything taken care of, and they're getting all of that prepped. And then as soon as, like I said, as soon as the spring runoff is done and we're done with any kind of water, general water turbidity releases, then I think they're going to go in and get started. They've been working on the road access into it. You have not been up on that road, but there's the little road that goes from our main intake area to the reservoir, which it's not a very long road. It's just a couple of miles, but as Shirley can attest, it's very, very narrow.
I drove up there with our pilot. Oh my goodness. It was a test of my nerves to get off of there without going over the cliff.
Yeah, the road was about as narrow as the pilot is, so it wasn't pretty. But anyhow, so they're working on getting that so they can get the track, the equipment.
Oh, froze.
Yes, this happens to the mayor. But I think she was saying getting equipment in.
Right.
Well, it's very exciting, and I know that the city of Yamhill also has an impoundment that I believe Sharon, who's on with us today, did note that she can answer questions if we have them. But I believe the city is also looking at their impoundment to see whether it's something that they should dredge. Is that correct, Sharon?
I think so. I think they're checking into that project to see what's going on there. Like I said, I'll do my best. I'm not an expert on this. Jason would be better. I can get back to you guys on anything, but yeah, they were checking into doing some dredging and some other things to try to help the capacity.
Perfect. Yeah. And we will be, Councilor Ward-Mullen, we will be in the city of Yamhill for Water Task Force meeting on Monday.
Yeah,
Monday morning.
That's right.
I have that on
Wow.
my calendar, so I hope to attend. Yes.
I can't believe it's already next week.
I know. Wow. Okay. Not next week though, right?
It's the 25th.
I thought it was May 2nd.
I sent out an email and then immediately had to clarify that it was actually the 25th.
Okay, because we
But
can't.
you and I can.
Yeah,
can
we'll take
check
it
on
offline. Okay. Glad you brought it up so we can get it clarified.
Me too, because I was about to send out the reminder email.
Yeah.
Embarrassingly, I was working with you and getting everybody lined up, all the panelists, and then sent out the email for May 2nd. And then our county administrator sent me a very quick email and was like, hey, by the way, you're in budget hearings.
Whoops. Okay, so I don't think I'll be able to, well, I'll see what we can do on the 25th then.
Okay, that sounds good. And I'll check in with Jason too.
Okay.
Yeah, so we will have Water Task Force and it will be somewhere.
Most likely Yamhill. I might not be there though.
Yeah, most likely in Yamhill. And obviously with the focus of the folks at the city of Yamhill have had the experience now of trying to make the calls around the amount of water that they have available, and then working with the state on that and having an emergency. And it feels like Yamhill's experience, Sharon, your experience, the mayor's experience is something that sharing it with other people and sharing how we're approaching it now is going to be very valuable.
Yep.
You know, take your stress and teach people.
I think Jason and Kyle had a lot more stress than I did. We were doing notices and different things, but Jason and Kyle were down in the trenches, so they definitely had more stress. For sure.
Well, welcome back, Mayor. if you want to add to what you were talking about, please feel free. You were talking about track hose and excavators going up the hill, but if there's anything else you want to share about the city.
Oh, no, she's muted.
Enough is enough. You've had enough of me today. That's fine. I don't think we had our Easter egg hunt the other day and it was great. I think we had about 200 kids out there. So that it was really nice to see. So that was about it.
Awesome. And I just want to, we did the road safety tours in Carlton, and you all showed us both the reroute and what that's going to look like. But you also talked about it's not Main Street because it's to the west. Is that also Main?
It's Main until it turns into Meadow Lake Road. Mhm.
Yeah, and the project that you're trying to get funded there. Do you
Right.
want to talk a little bit more about that for people who are listening? Or maybe Councilor Mullen can.
No,
I
look,
was going to say,
I'll-
have Shirley do it.
well, we have received 100,000 so far, and I believe Shannon spoke the other day that the minimum it will cost us 1.5 million. Am I correct on that, Linda?
Yes. Yeah. And that's just for doing I think the pavement. That's not even some of the other stuff that needs to be done on that road for sidewalks and gutters and drainage and also repairing the water and sewer lines that run underneath that road. So
Yeah.
That's so much money for not very many blocks.
It is. It's amazing. So
Yeah.
Casey, I have kind of a related question to speaking of infrastructure. Is there anyone, are you or is there anyone from the county going to be attending wherever President Biden is going to be this Thursday to talk about infrastructure?
I have not been informed about that, but other people perhaps have been.
I don't even know where he's going to be.
I just know he's in the Portland area to talk about the infrastructure bill, and then he's hosting, or he's the headliner at a fundraiser.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So-
maybe Mayor Watkins has been invited.
and I like that you're laughing at that. No, I have not been notified or invited or anything. So whatever's going on, I'm not sure they're worrying about the.
Well, I mean, I'm just curious if he's going to speak specifically about projects here in Oregon, I hope, and not just generally broad strokes about infrastructure.
Yeah. And I'm gathering, I've seen some mentions from Washington state senators. I'm guessing there's probably going to be more of a discussion or more of an announcement around the I-5 bridge replacement project over the Columbia. I'm just guessing that that's going to be part of it because I've seen a few mentions of that there is one of the funds within the highway budget at the federal level that came out of the infrastructure bill. The language in it apparently was written so as to make the bridge replacement be highly competitive.
Oh, okay.
But it's a many billion-dollar project,
Yeah.
and there's an expectation, just like with things like the Newburgh-Dundee bypass, there's an expectation of a significant local, in this case, state match, right? And we don't have that in any budgets.
Oops.
Right, like I
Well-
think a multi-billion-dollar state match is what's being discussed right now.
Yeah. I would hope that he's able to get down to Klamath Falls and the Klamath Basin and see what's going on down there too. That's not a good situation.
Yeah, it's very true. And there's federal drought relief money is contingent upon not touching any of the federal water to make sure that the federal water flows down into the lower Klamath for fish survival. And it feels like something larger needs to happen besides a little bit of debt relief and then not enough water for fish. And I cringe.
It's a difficult situation. I mean, it's just, it's typical of Western situations in general, Western water management, but it's a difficult one.
Well, I was reading along those lines that the Colorado River Project, right, is the projections for water flow were for a very different world. The wettest possible world was really what they were based upon. And last year was the first year that there were cuts to Arizona areas, right? And some significant cuts. And right now, I think it's Lake Powell is the biggest one. Lake Powell is not refilling. And there's already, every irrigation district and project has their water ready to pull out at the same time that it's not refilling.
Yeah.
They had a segment on that on 60 Minutes on Sunday night.
Oh, really?
On Lake Powell.
Oh, wow.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah. It's such an important water body, and yet there's all, the fact that we have a giant water body in the middle of the desert that evaporates a lot of the water off of it is one of those, like, this is bad management, but it's what we have, and it's what people and food relies upon.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we're going to see some interesting stuff with the Columbia and more discussions about breaching the dams on the lower end of that river, because Idaho's a little short on water this year too, and all of those areas. So
do the lower Snake River dams that are under discussion for breaching, do they hold irrigation water or drinking water?
I believe so. Yeah, they're not just navigational.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I always thought that they were just navigation and hydro.
You could be right on that. I should know better, but I lived there for
the controversy.
But,
yeah, you know everything about them. I just know that they're hot.
yeah. Well, and the Snake, the thing of it is they take so much out of that on the eastern end, from basically from the Wyoming border over to the Oregon border is where a lot of that irrigation water is pulled out from.
Right.
So,
right.
That makes a big difference in what makes it the rest of the way up and into the Columbia.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I moderated a panel last night, or a candidate forum for, it turns out the Democratic candidates for governor who aren't Treasurer Reed and Speaker Kotek, if that makes sense. So there were 9 or 10 people on the stage. And one person, his answer for every question, regardless of what it was about, policing, healthcare, mental health, drug addiction, housing, was his plan to use Columbia River water.
Is one priority.
Yeah, and the first time he said it, I was like, yeah. And then I realized it was a comprehensive answer. Yeah. And while we're talking about water right now, and I recognize that it's really important, I think there are other things that cities and counties and states and individual residents need to have besides just water.
Right.
Yeah. But along those lines, so we'll have Water Task Force. I hope you're able to attend. I'll send out the confirmation. How is the sidewalk project moving? Is it moving forward in Carlton?
Are you talking about the workforce with the kids Linda, do you have, I don't have the latest I heard was that we haven't recruited any kids yet, but do you have anything later than that, Linda?
No, that's about what I've got. I haven't, our city manager was gone all last, or much, not all last week, but has been gone a significant portion. And so we'll be getting updates tomorrow afternoon, which I won't be around for because I'll be on my way to Hermiston. But so, but as far as I know at this point, I haven't heard anything, any updates that indicate we're finding people. And then we've had contractors that were going to provide project oversight. And of course, with the building that's going on right now, we're losing contractors, and then we'll get another one in and another one leaves. So it's been a really kind of fluid project as far as planning goes.
Got it. It's good to know.
Well, it's a little frustrating because we were really hoping to be able to do that and to, help citizens get some sidewalks in on areas that we didn't even get to walk you up East Main Street. You would have enjoyed the sidewalks up there. Well, I think they're underneath the overgrown grass.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, old, very crumbling, and we'd like to have sidewalks up there. The people that live there would like to have sidewalks up there, but
yeah.
And
with this sidewalk project, would it have extended sidewalks to areas that don't have them, or would it just be repairing and replacing?
Because we're going to be focusing on the main streets first, and yeah, there's some areas in there where they don't have sidewalks that we would be putting sidewalks in, as well as repairing and replacing what's already there.
It almost appears that there are no sidewalks. There are sidewalks, but it almost appears that there are not, because they are so badly crumbled that it's hard to even tell that there's an actual sidewalk there.
Like there's just a path amidst vegetation.
Yeah, and you got to watch where you're going. You will trip on a piece that's sticking up. So,
yeah.
Whoa. Well, it sounds like it's a pretty important project then.
Yeah, and it's and I've been speaking with Shannon about recruiting these kids from the high school, and I think there's just been some difficulty in getting interest, and so I had suggested some other ways to sort of broaden the net of looking for kids, because I think they've been focusing more on sort of at-risk youth, and of course that's important, but there hasn't been anyone showing interest. But also I'm thinking, well, also what about students that are not at risk, but to have a project like that, a community project, could be really important for their future and applications for college and all kinds of things. So
totally.
Yeah, but anyway, so far nobody seems to be like, yay, I want to go build a sidewalk.
Yeah, definitely.
We could just recruit the city council.
There you go. I bet that there's an opportunity to find some kids.
Yeah.
Well,
but if nothing else, there is a city council.
Yeah. Well, the other problem, like I said, is that Brent is asking a question here, and I don't know if the kids are getting paid or not. I know that all of their tools are being provided and all of their supplies are being provided. As far as payment specifically goes, I'm not sure how they've handled that in the past and what the plan is.
I bet that they're getting paid, because it's actually not legal to not pay somebody for work that you would otherwise pay somebody to do.
So,
I did want to note, because I don't know if you all saw I know that the Oregonian and Oregon Public Broadcasting both were reporting on this, that I need to pull it up, what it's called, the Measure 110 Oversight and Accountability Council, which is the state approved or state appointed council that's determining where the funding is going from the, we approved Measure 110, and that provided a decriminalization of drugs, and then also moved marijuana tax money over into treatment. Well, it's been very slow, and they were finally ready to approve the first grants to counties and other organizations for treatment. And then OPB and Oregonian reported that no money was going to go out the door. And nobody really knew why. OHA was saying, well, we can't do it yet. But we did get news that it looks like Yamhill County, which submitted a fairly significant grant request with a lot of partners from Encompass Yamhill Valley to Virginia Garcia to YCAP to a couple of other organizations. It looks like we're going to be getting about $7 million in this particular grant cycle,
Wow.
which will go a long ways. Like $7 million is a lot of money. It's still a lot of money, even with inflation.
Wow.
And the county, the partnership of the county and these other organizations actually requested 9 million, but it was like, here's a program, here's a program, here's a program, here's a program, all working all together to get people treatment. And so 7 million, we still don't know what the difference is, what programs aren't being funded, but stay tuned, because it really will be a significant change.
Yeah, absolutely.
And once we know more of the details, I'll invite Director Lindsay Manfred on to kind of walk you through the projects. I know they've been keeping it quiet because they didn't know what was going to be approved or not. So yay, it's good to see the money finally going out the door. Yeah.
So, see, I have speaking of Lindsay Manfred, a healthcare related question. I was receiving I still do receive this email from OHA, but it was like every day they were reporting on cases by county. And apparently they're not doing that anymore. They're just maybe once a week doing it. Is there any resources we have in the county that online where I can get more up-to-date information about what's going on in the county and perhaps by zip code?
Yeah, so we still have the same data, but it is only being updated once a week, which as you've probably heard and seen, we went from 200 cases a day at the low point a couple of weeks ago. So I think we're getting close to a 500 person per day new COVID cases. And the CDC, their prediction is that it's about 1 in every 7 positive cases is actually being reported, because there's so many home tests that are being, that people are doing themselves.
Right.
And then those aren't getting reported. So I will look into, so there is the county's newsletter, and then there's the county data on the page. But beyond that, because it's at the moment is only once a week, it's, for you, it's going to be hard to see what happened this last week until that reporting date.
Yeah, it would be not, I mean, I'm sure there's resource issues, but it would be nice to get that report more often or back to daily, because, if the cases continue to rise. I mean, you just said it's doubled.
Yeah. I mean, I was moderating this panel yesterday in a very large room with a lot of airflow, and it did still feel like, if somebody's here for 2 hours with BA2, we might all just get it.
Yeah.
So it would be really good in terms of each person at a gathering deciding for themselves, do I go, do I wear a mask the whole time? Do I not eat or drink, that kind of thing?
I gather that the case number is going up. The hospital admittances are not, they're not as severe as they have been.
Yes, that is what I hear as well.
Today, I just heard from a medical professional today reporting on TV that, the hospital rates may be going, severe COVID might not be as much of an issue, but even for those of us who are vaccinated that may get a very mild case of COVID, it can have still serious implications, and folks can get long COVID, number one. Also, a study just came out that for people that have had a very mild case, even a mild case of COVID, that go for elective surgery within a or any kind of surgery within a period of time are 25 times more likely to have a very, very negative outcome, meaning, a serious, event or death.
So this isn't a situation where you go in sick and then you have surgery?
No, you just, like, you've had COVID, like you had it.
Oh, okay.
Recovered, like a mild case. You go, oh, done, over with, right? And you go get this surgery, and anyway, 25 times greater incidence of serious events that happen to these people. So that's why it's just, so, even though, yes, people aren't ending up in the hospital, or maybe we're not having as many deaths, but we still have to really take a lot of precautions, even for all of us who've been vaccinated.
Yeah, and I'm hearing from more and more people who are still suffering with long COVID, or still suffering, that sounds funny to say, who have some version of long COVID. So racing heart rate, brain fog, these kinds of things that at least I really don't want anybody that I know to have, and especially not at mass scale.
Yeah.
And I've been looking at it. Oh, sorry.
No, I mean, so that, again, that's sort of the reason why I'd be interested in having this reporting more often.
Yeah.
So kind of know where we stand on any given day.
Yeah, exactly. More of a dynamic than like, I wonder what happened last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been talking, I'm running for labor commissioner, and BOLI, the Bureau of Labor and Industries, they do, among the many things that they educate and investigate, is disability accommodations for workers. So, if you're employed by the city of Carlton and you get long COVID, it's not long COVID that a city is accommodating. It's because there's not really a definitive diagnosis for it, but it's you can't sit for 2 hours at a time, or you can't go upstairs because your heart races too greatly. Some of these like reasonable accommodations that are required that people are only now realizing, oh, I have long COVID, I can work, but I can't work, and I need to be accommodated, and kind of what that looks like for each employer is going to be a big deal going forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, Sharon. Everybody is going to be dealing with that at some level, I think. Yeah. Well, do you have any other final thoughts? I'm happy to have us send us out into the world again.
I'm okay.
Okay, well, I will track down and see how HHS and public health feels about increasing that frequency of reporting again. It may simply be that they don't have the staff capacity for it, as federal and state money slows down for actually having people do that work.
Yeah.
But I will ask.
Thank you, Casey.
Yeah. All right, well, we will see you next week. Ideally, we will see you at the Yamhill County Water Task Force meeting Monday from 9 to 11 at the City of Yamhill. But I'll confirm that with you all later. And
Okay,
be safe out there.
We will. Thank you.
Yeah.